Navian, we have a few minutes. Should we talk about those hot fixes that came out yesterday?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, for those of you who don't know, we had a little bit in it got swept up a little bit in the whole ogre being released thing, but we actually did have, in addition to that, we had two changes that came out yesterday. And those changes were that we had a change to the cannibal juggler interaction, and we had a change to the Vizier Magician interaction. So let's start with, I'm going to start down. I'm going to start at the bottom one first. Vizier Magician, if the Vizier and Magician are both in play, the demon does not learn the minions. So basically just doesn't learn them at all.
Yeah, so this was an adjustment to actually did they have I think they had a hate jinx, right? And it was
I
like
believe so,
evil
yeah.
knows which one and which player, which was also just like it would have been fine if it was just hate jinxed and that part was removed, but this is just an adjustment from that.
It's an interesting idea. So, okay, so I'm the demon, and I don't learn. So normally in a 12-player game, if I'm the demon, there's a Vizier and a Magician in play, I would assume that I would learn the three names in the case of there being a magician, two minions, and a magician. But if I learn no names, that confirms to me that there's a Vizier in play, but it also means I don't know any other of my evil team. I don't know the other minion, and I don't know who the magician is. So basically, you lose a minion, in essence, in a two minion game. But in less minion games, in a 1 minion or 3 minion game, or in a 1 minion game, it's interesting because the magician basically just doesn't have an ability at that point because the Vizier is going to be publicly announced. Am I reading that correct?
I'm sorry. I was answering some people in our game chat.
That's fine.
Basically, the dynamic of this is that, like, so the vizier gets to be announced, and then people get to come to the vizier and try to convince the vizier, "I'm your demon."
Well, no, because the oh, right, that's right, because the Vizier is going to learn two demons
Right.
and learns the other minion, so they'll know who the minion is.
Right. Yeah. So this prevents, for example, a demon just going to the vizier and saying, "Hey, I'm the demon, and I know who the other minion is. It's this player," getting it right, and then
Confirming.
the vizier being able to confirm that. So if
Right.
the demon just doesn't learn the other minion at all, both the demon and the magician can viably go to the vizier and say, "Hey, I'm your demon."
That makes sense. I'm just trying to think. So in a 1 minion game, so basically in a 7 to 10 player game, or 7 to 9 player game, I should say, the demon will not know who their minions are. The magician will do nothing. The Vizier will be announced, and the Vizier will have been shown two demons. Yeah, okay. I get it. It makes sense. In a two, okay, yeah, I like it. Okay. I think this is a much more creative way of handling the situation rather than just preventing them from being on the same script or being on the same in the same game. I don't know. Maybe I'll warm up to it. But then there's this one here, which is the Cannibal Juggler Jinx. Now there's been a lot of talk about this one, and over the years, people have tried to find creative and fun ways to make Cannibal and Juggler not be awful together. So the current the way that they're ruling it now is if the juggler guesses on their first day and dies by execution tonight, the juggler doesn't learn anything because they're dead, but the cannibal who inherited the juggler ability learns how many guesses the juggler got correct. Now, this makes sense because previously the way this would have interacted is that the juggler would have had to have juggled on night one along or day one along with the cannibal would have had to juggle on day one along with the juggler, and then would have received answers retroactively when they inherited the juggler ability,
No, that's not how that works.
because that's not their first day as a juggler. They would juggle on the
Right.
second day.
So, yeah, rules is written the way cannibal juggler's innate interaction is that juggler gets executed. The next day, the cannibal has to do a juggle, and then nobody has to get executed because they still have to have the juggler ability
Right.
the next night.
Correct.
They've now made this interaction that the juggler gets executed, the cannibal gets to learn what the juggler's number would be, which is kind of interesting because it forces you to go talk to that player, which, to be fair, cannibals are pretty incentivized to do
Mm-hmm.
anyway. But you have to learn what their info was, so that you can parse your number together. But the other thing is still true. The innate interaction still exists. So if they wanted to, the cannibal could also juggle on that day, have nobody get executed, and get another juggler number the next night. So you could actually get two complete uses of the juggler ability with juggler and cannibal, but it would have to likely take a concentrated effort by town.
They'd have to specifically not execute and trust that the Canna Juggler is actually the Canna Juggler.
Right.
Yeah.
If executed on a later day, the cannibal, it goes back to the normal sort of like interaction where they have to juggle during the day and then nobody gets executed in order to get a number. Because in that instance, the regular juggler would have already gotten their number.
I don't hate it.
So
I think it's fine. I think that it, as we've kind of said in our Discord, it was a really bad interaction before. Like, it was almost a non-interaction before this.
yeah, it was pretty much a non-interaction, which to be fair is like fine. It's not the worst thing in the world for there to be one or two roles that the cannibal's not gonna be like super beneficial for necessarily. Like cannibal can just confirm like, yeah, I didn't wake up, so I trust your claim. Like it's not that big of a deal that it doesn't actually get to do anything. But certainly this is a more interesting interaction.
It is more interesting. I mean, I don't think anyone can deny that it's more interesting than the previous one. The question is just whether it's a good jinx, and I personally am coming around to it. I think I get it more because I see the actual use case of it, and I think I like it. That said, I'd like to see it in action, and I don't know. I'd like to see it in action before I do anything else. So, those are your May 24th patch notes. I mean, if we're getting them this regularly, that's going to be insane. I doubt we're going to get them this regularly. It's probably going to be much more spaced out. But one more trip around the old patch notes changelog thing, and still no asterisk on the fucking engineer. Just saying.
I hate to say it, but like I honestly doubt that engineer's gonna get an asterisk.
I know, but it should. It just should. All right. So that was your script, or that was your patch notes discussion.